What apps, methods, and procedures do you use to keep yourself organized on a daily basis? So thanks, KJ, for the great question. So I'm going to talk to you guys, if it's cool, about business and what I use, but I'm also going to talk about personal as well, because I think that they're both important. And if you have one under control, most likely the other one's going to be under control too. Okay, so for business, first and foremost, I use the Pomodoro Technique. As a business owner of any kind, whether you run an agency, you run an e-com business, right? You run a local business, it doesn't matter. As an entrepreneur, there's always a million things that we have to get done, right? And there's always people texting us, emailing us, calling us, slacking us, whatever you use, right, for communication. They're all going off all day long. Okay, so the Pomodoro Technique has really helped me. If you haven't heard about that, there's apps for it. I'm sure there's probably even books on it. But basically, you take cycles of uninterrupted head down time, right? And you don't let any distractions get to you, okay? And you work on one task or a task until that timer is up, okay? So I'll make a list of priorities, and then I'll literally plug in. I'll turn off everything. I'll put my phone on Do Not Disturb. I'll put my computer on Do Not Disturb. And I just focus on that thing for 20 minutes. So after you're done, you focus, you take a quick break. Usually I just like go to the bathroom, get some water if I don't have any, right? And then you do another cycle of head down time. And basically then you start playing with how long, how many cycles you put together before you take a longer break. And I would start like small with that, right? So do like 2 sessions and then take a 15-minute break. Do 3 sessions of 20 minutes, then take a 15-minute break, and see how long you can push that focus uninterrupted time. Because I'm telling you guys, the longer that you can get it, truly where your mind is focused and you aren't being interrupted, the longer you can pull that time, the more you're obviously going to be able to accomplish. Okay, and the more you're going to be able to zone out and block out the things that aren't important. So this is a great technique that you can work on every day, getting better at too. I see a lot of people talking about Pomodoro, but they don't talk about getting better at Pomodoro, right? And so I think every day we should be focused on getting better at things, not just do it for 20 minutes, take a break, and just keep doing that. Like that repetition is the end. Like just do that forever. Like I want to get better at things every single day. And with the Pomodoro Technique, you definitely can. Next up, we use Basecamp. My entire team uses Basecamp. I have tried so many project management tools. And at the end of the day, what's worked the best for me is Basecamp because of its simplicity. I needed the ability for some basic projects, right? I need projects and I need to-do lists, and that's really all that I need in a project management tool. Okay, so for me, it's all about Basecamp. When I do other shit, I run into problems, right? When I try to get fancy, when I try to spend a week creating this crazy slick process and flow, yes, I've done it, spent a week multiple times trying to really map things out and get it in an amazing process, right? Shit hits the floor, it never works, and then it's back to Basecamp, and I just wasted months of my time. Frankie says, what about Trello? So for me personally, I need a little bit more than Trello, right? Having 5, 6, 7 boards or something like that, I don't know. I do better with Basecamp myself, but I do know quite a few people that do very well, run amazing businesses with Trello. So I would say the simpler the better, because if they're not simple, it's going to take forever for you to actually get used to, figure out how it works, and then I'm betting that you won't actually adopt to it, meaning you won't actually use it long term. So I would rather you just use Basecamp and be off and running from day one, right? It's that simple, and it's that simple for your team to get to. So next up, talking about my phone. And they have a desktop app too, but Wunderlist is an awesome to-do app that I use. Again, it's so simple. Think of it as a to-do list application, obviously. I have a iPhone and Android app. I'm sure they have an Android. And then they also have a desktop app. So I use it on both. The thing I love about Wunderlist is that it's not just one to-do list. You have lists of to-do lists. And I found that for me, if I just have one big long to-do list, it gets really, really hard for me to prioritize my to-dos. And I see all of the to-dos, right? And it's like, great, I have 176 to-dos, right? Like, it's very hard to get excited about doing 176 to-dos, right? Like, it's like, fuck me. Like, seriously, I don't. So I can knock off 5 today? Like, this is going to take forever. Like, what's the point? Okay, so I can feel lost in to-do lists. So I like Wunderlist because it helps me segment the to-dos. And so my list of to-dos are this indented list here. So I have one just called to-dos, and these are only things that I can do and that I need to do. Okay, only things that I can do and I need to do, not things I need to outsource and figure out, just things that only I can do and I have to get done. These are highest level priority things, right? Next up is learning. Okay, so this is things that I want to learn about, I want to read about, training I want to go through, etc. This could be business type of stuff. This could be personal. Okay, it's kind of a mix of both. Okay, but when I'm on the go and somebody says, hey, I just read this book and it was amazing, you should definitely check it out. It's like, shit, where's that go? And it was like, oh, it's going in Evernote. Oh, it's going in Notes. Oh, it's going to go in Basecamp. And the shit was just everywhere. All right, so I consolidated it now, and it's just sitting inside of my Wunderlist app inside of a list called Learning. Okay, next up is personal. I think it's important to have time management and a to-do list for your personal stuff as well. So I have a personal list that's just about me, and then I have a personal list that's like with my wife and I on it. And last but not least, much like the learning, I found that I would think of stuff. I'd be at the gym, I'd be driving, I'd be in a meeting, somebody would text me something, and it would cue something in my brain saying, I need to have somebody on my team. I need to have Alex, Ryan, I need to have Chandra, right? Do X task. And it was like, it would just hit me, right? In the shower, right? Wherever those ideas hit you, right? They'd hit me. And then again, like some of those would end up like in the Notes app. Some of them would end up not going anywhere. Some of them were ending up in Wunderlist. Some of them were actually going directly into Basecamp. And so I just standardized that now and actually have a list inside of Wunderlist for Basecamp. So everything goes into Wunderlist. Okay, then from here, it goes elsewhere, right? If it's something for my team, right, it's going to go in the Basecamp list. Okay, and then every single day, I take things from the Basecamp list and I assign them and prioritize them inside of Basecamp. Last but not least is Hubstaff. So I am in the middle of moving to Hubstaff right now. And I am freaking loving it. So it is a like screenshot app, right? It is like a productivity app. So your teammates or your team can, you can as the business owner, see how much they're working, see how much they're working on specific projects. You can see like how productive they actually are. Are they like moving their mouse a lot, or have they been sitting on Facebook for the last 6 hours? Tells you actually a breakdown of the apps that they're using and how long. But at the end of the day, it's a great reporting tool, but I love the automation that's built into it. So I have it configured right now. So if a team member doesn't show up on time within 15 minutes, I get an email. I get a notification. Okay, so it's helped me be more productive, but not have to micromanage my team either. Right? I know when something happens instead of I got to go into Hubstaff, or somebody on my team does. That's what's happened in the past. Somebody on my team would have to log into one of the applications every week and audit everybody's time, right? And then put together, right, like a Google sheet for me that then I would approve, or Ben would approve, somebody would approve, right? Before then it could actually be paid out. And so it's just like all these things that we have to do in order to just run the business. Like, screw that. Like, so Hubstaff, the thing that I like is so much of it is like automated. You get alerts when something happens that you need to know about that you want to set up, and you can set up automatic budget tracking and payroll. Okay, so Hubstaff, I am freaking digging it. And I would highly, highly recommend Hubstaff. Oh my gosh, I need that. So guys, I signed up as an affiliate, and there's a link in the last email talking about Hubstaff. Probably what I'm going to do after I'm all into Hubstaff is I'll probably write like a little checklist or a little guide on like what the most important things are that I use with Hubstaff. So if you pick it up through me, and when I see a bunch of you guys do it, I'll give you guys a little guide whenever it gets done, probably end of next week or something if you guys jump into Hubstaff. So loving Hubstaff. All right, so these are all business things. This is all, for the most part, right? There's my wife, Al, and my personal list inside of Wunderlist, but this is all really business. So those of you guys that haven't been on an AMA, obviously I look very different. Lost about 50 pounds, and I really got in control of my life. And it all started by really taking very little steps and just over time applying more pressure to those steps, right? And so I want to share with you guys just what has worked for me, some things that I do every day, some things that I track, the KPIs that I track, the key performance indicators, the things that like keep me on track and keep me moving. I promised 2 webinars ago that I will do a much more in-depth training for you guys, just sharing like in-depth what I've been up to the last 6 months in terms of my health, how I lost that 50 pounds, the things I eat, the things I supplement with, what I'm doing in terms of working out. But I thought high level, I'll give you guys some things now that you guys can run with. Again, this isn't meant to be preachy, right? Like, but you guys value my opinion, and we are always talking about business. Always, always, always. And I think that if you get your personal life under control, you conquer your personal life, you're going to conquer your business life too. And I think that that's never really talked about, right? It's always just so one-sided, which I think is bullshit. So I think that we should be talking about both sides. And do you have to go do the advice that I tell you or what's worked for me? No. But this is what's worked for me. So I want to share with you guys what has worked well. True that. Thanks, Dave. All right, so personal management apps. So for me, direct correlation with me gaining weight and me losing weight is whether or not I'm stepping on the scales and checking my weight on a daily basis. Right? This is like the most important key performance indicator ever. Right? Like, am I going up in weight and I'm trying to lose weight? Like, oh shit, I need to correct something. Right? It's like that signal every day. Am I doing good? Yeah, awesome. I freaking crushed it. I got to do it again the next day, right? And so the scales and tracking that. Okay, so I can track my scales, and I'll try to show you. I don't know how. So I use the weight app or the health app on the iPhone, and specifically the weight section of it. But guys, check this out. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. Let me know if you can see it. Do you see that? Give me a 1 if you can see that graph in the chat, and you can see that sliding down. No glare. Turn the brightness down. Let's see. Oh. How about now? Hold it closer. No, it's all white. All right, I'll try closer. Yes, yes, better, bingo. Yes, yes. All right. So guys, this is what happens when you start to track things, right? So for me, every day is about being better than the day before and the day before that, right? If I go off the rails one day, I have a bad day, I cheat, I eat things that I don't want to eat, I'm not supposed to eat, right? I see it on the scales and it goes up and I go, motherfucker, it's not going to happen again tomorrow. I'm going to be better tomorrow. And so for me, it's a game with myself about the constant improvement and me being better every day than I was the day before. Okay. And when I look back over time, okay, when I've gained weight, when I've lost weight, every time that I've had success, right, I was tracking the scales. Okay, start losing weight when I start tracking, I stop tracking, I start gaining weight. Okay, so for me, I'm committed to literally every day weighing myself. Okay, next up, so once I started getting on the scales, I started looking into diets. Okay, and what can I do besides just tracking and trying to eat well? How can I track better, right? How can I track my macros and what I'm eating? And I had to decide on what type of setup in my macros I was going to go after. And guys, I've lost weight before, but not like this. And what I mean is I've always done extreme things to lose weight. Have you guys ever heard about the HCG diet? So this is like HCG diet is, to me, guys, is fucking ridiculous. You eat like 500 calories a day max. You get like a piece of chicken that's like this big, right? And a little thing of vegetables, right? You take these drops and like literally you're starving yourself. And so I did the HCG diet multiple times, and they're just extreme. It's not it's a diet. It's not a way of life, right? It's not that every day you're getting better. It's that you starve yourself for a month and then you go back to eating like normal. So what happens? You gain all the weight back, right? So for me, I found the keto diet. And for me, I love keto because it's not a diet to me. Keto for me is a way of life. I feel fucking amazing on keto. Okay. I have always been a night person, never a morning person. And I have always felt like a fog in the morning. And it would take me an hour and a half to 2 hours just to wake the hell up every day. Right. Still don't like waking up, but as soon as I get out of bed, I'm ready to go. I don't even need coffee. And my level, right, is where I'm at right now, right? It's no big ramp process, like immediately ready, right? You give me 2 minutes, drink a glass of water, go to the bathroom, I'm at this stage. So keto diet has lifted a huge fog off of my brain. My brain feels amazing. I feel amazing. And for me, again, it's not really a diet. It's really a way of life. And I say that because I can eat keto forever, right? I can eat a ribeye and some amazing greens, no problem. I can eat some fish and some greens for my next meal, no problem, right? Like, and I can eat that every day. Can eat some chicken thighs or chicken wings and some greens, no problem. Okay, all of the meals are things that I can do every day, and I'm not going to feel like I'm dieting. Okay, so that's why I mean, instead of HCG and a diet and like crazy starving yourself, that's what I think of a diet these days, right? HCG, or I'm sorry, keto for me is just a way of life. And not only do I feel better with my brain and like this fog just being gone, but obviously like I've lost 50 pounds doing it too. So somebody says no carbs, then very, very little carbs. So I do 10 grams of carbs a day or less. I'm very nuts with carbs. I didn't start that way, right? But again, it's a constant progression, right? So I jumped on the keto diet, found some like, some like macro generators that'll tell you how many calories you should eat and how much should be protein, right? How much should come from from fat. And I put those into this keto diet app here, okay? And I track my macros every day, right? If I don't track my weight every day, I can't control it, right? If I'm trying to cut or whether I'm trying to bulk, right? I need to be tracking, okay? So the scales is one method. The second method, though, is my macros, what I eat. So I punch in there what I eat every day. Okay, so for me, I always do this, okay? I do this the night before. So when I'm laying in bed, the day's over, I plan my meal for the next day. I plan what I'm going to eat for the next day. Why? So that I don't have to think about it the next day, right? It's the end of the day, right? I'm just laying in bed doing nothing anyways. The TV's probably on, hanging out with my wife, right? I'll figure out what I'm going to eat for the next day. Next up is somebody asked about cholesterol. So go on Reddit, go on Facebook, join some groups about keto, and you will see people that have had crazy cholesterol numbers, right? Go on keto, 2 months later, they're great. If you had people, you'll see like literally hundreds and hundreds, thousands of case studies, people being on statin and having diabetes and right, and literally 2 months, 3 months into the keto diet, don't have to use them at all. So for me, I'm not a doctor, but I wouldn't be scared about cholesterol if I were you, Dave, based upon the sheer volume of ridiculous case studies that are out there. Okay. Next up is Zero. So there's an app called Zero. So probably 3 years ago now, I got introduced to fasting. And me doing fasting, doing nothing else, I felt great. I was doing 16-8 intermittent fasting. So what that means is your eating window, when you allow yourself to eat, is 8 hours. The rest of the time, the 16 hours, you don't eat. Okay. If you think about it right now, give me a 1 if you already follow a 16-8 or pretty damn close fasting schedule. Yeah, you're freaking sleeping, or you don't eat breakfast in the morning and you don't eat late, right? Like you're already basically fasting, right? Like you're already doing intermittent fasting. So intermittent fasting, I loved. For me, intermittent fasting kind of wore off a little bit. After I did it for a long time, I didn't feel the effects anymore. So I didn't know that you can do more than 16-8 though. I didn't know that like you could fast for longer. Nobody was talking about this then, or at least nobody that I knew. So I still fast to this day, right? But I fast for a much longer period of time. I'm coming out of a big cut, me dropping weight. Now I'm all about putting lean muscle on. When I was really cutting, I would fast for 24 hours a day. So I would like literally fast. I would eat at like 6 p.m. I'd eat from 6 to 7:30, let's say, and then I'd just repeat the process, right? So the next day, right, I would have an hour, 2-hour eating window, and I would fast for 22 to 24 hours a day. Okay, I'm coming out of that now. I'm not fasting quite so extreme. Right now, it's typically about 20 hours, but sometimes up to 24, just based upon what's happening in my life for the day. Okay, fasting is freaking amazing. If you guys are already, I see a lot of people in the chat saying that they're doing it. Play with it, manipulate it. What I mean by that is try to go an hour longer. Try to go half an hour longer, right? Keep playing with that number. Okay, don't just do it, feel good with it, and then a year later it stops working and you're like, what the hell, right? Play with that, push it further. It is freaking amazing. The difference that I feel going 20 hours to 24 hours is incredible. And this has been one of the keys for me. When I did the keto diet app and I implemented fasting at about 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I would be like uncontrollable. I would have so much fucking energy, right? I would just be like having a conversation and be like this, right? Be like kind of dancing around, jumping around. Like I had to do something. It was uncontrollable. Okay. So between the keto diet and fasting, I literally had to do something. I had to get off my ass. Okay. So I downloaded this app called Couch to 5K. Guys, I hate running. Well, let's say I used to hate running. Fucking hated it. If you said, Joe, you run a mile and back, I'll give you $1,000, I would have said, I'll give you $1,000, right? That would have been my attitude. You couldn't pay me. Like quite literally, you couldn't pay me. Okay. But the combination of, for me, the keto diet and fasting gave me all of this pent up energy that I had to do something with. Okay. So I downloaded the Couch to 5K app. So For any of you guys that have done this, it's so simple. It's like, literally, it's like walk for 5 minutes. You walk for 5 minutes. Then it's like jog for 15 seconds. Jog for 15 seconds, you get to stop again, right? That's literally where I was at when I started. Okay, progress about 2 weeks into the program. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. It was a great mental challenge for me, right? It stepped me up over time. It wasn't like, dude, you're fat, you're 50 pounds overweight, go run 3 miles. I couldn't have done that, right? So this like progression, again, where every day or every other day you're doing a little bit more and you're getting better over time. This was huge for me. You're playing a game. It's like a video game inside your head. Think about, guys, just in the last 2 slides, how much I've talked about the mental game that you're playing with yourself, right? And that progression every day. So 2 weeks into Couch to 5K, I'm like, screw this. I'm doing Couch to 10K, which obviously means instead of 3 miles, roughly, I'm doing 6 miles. 2 weeks in, I go from I hate running to I'm going to run over 6 miles. So this program I'm done with. Can run a 10K, can average between an 11 and 12 minute mile for the entire 10K. So at about 3 months, so this was 14 weeks, the Couch to 10K program. Okay, both of these combined, really. They're just the same app and one goes longer. So this was a 14-week program. Again, I just took it day by day. At about week 12, I saw the end in sight. Week 11, week 12, I saw the end in sight with the Couch to 10K. I was like, all right, now I'm in shape. Now I have some endurance, right? But I was still freaking weak, and I'm getting skinny as shit. I went from wearing a 38 size pant to wearing a 30. Crazy, right? So I'm like, dude, I need to bulk up. I hated how skinny I was getting, but I knew I needed to lean down as far as I freaking could. And in 3 months, guys, I went from 28% body fat to 18% body fat. Pretty crazy. So I jumped on this program. And this program follows what I've been talking to you guys about. It's a game. Every day that you work out, for me, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, every session I see progression. Okay? I might not start lifting the most weight, right? I'm going to start lifting very little. I started with the bar with all of my exercises, right, in this program. But guess what? Every workout, you add weight. Every workout. So I got my form amazing, right? I've had multiple personal trainers actually just watch me and give me feedback on my form, and they're all like, your form's great, right? So I'm doing it right, and every single session, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'm adding weight every single time. So I see progression. I did it. Every single session. So this has been what has made a huge freaking difference in my personal life. And if I were you guys, I'd recommend taking a screenshot. Even if you pick up 1 or 2 of these, I know that they will make a huge difference in your life. The other thing that I work on right now, kind of taking things to another level and tracking to another level, is I track my blood with this Precision Extra device. So it's a little thumb prick. And daily I track, usually daily, I track my blood glucose and my ketones. So one thing that's a little different, I mean, there's some things, some general rule of thumb. There's some general rules of thumbs. Yeah, that's weird. General rule of thumb does apply with spiking your blood glucose with certain sugars, but there's all kinds of alternatives out there these days. And keto is like freaking getting crazy. There's so many people with diabetes in this country and all over the world that are having amazing results. Like keto is just going nuts. So there's all these new sweeteners. There's all these new methods to sweeten things that aren't supposed to trigger, right, your blood glucose. So for me, I like knowing if it does, right? Like keto has been amazing for me. And if I'm going to eat something, I don't want to feel guilty about it, right? Because I don't have carbs. All my carbs come from vegetables, right? Um, don't get me wrong. I'm eating a big ass freaking ribeye every night, right? Like, or every other night. And lots of fatty food, but I'm fine without carbs. Okay, so for me, what I'm doing now is really trying to understand, right, like what problems I have with sugar, what's good for me and what's not good for me, and it will differ, and it will be different depending on you. Okay, so that's kind of like 10 levels in though. I would not recommend anybody start this from now, right? It just doesn't really make sense. So again, as promised, we will do, like, I'll do a full training and really talk to you guys about this and what I eat and what my meal plans look like and how I would do this, how I would repeat the process, and I'll show you guys a whole lot more as well.